All right. You
I was
keep
about to
almost
get
getting up. Stop doing that. We have after the reaction. You just segued into it. It's the third time you've done it now.
Oh my god. That was a subtle one. I was like...
Yeah, but I felt it, and I think they felt it too.
Oh my god.
That's hilarious. I know. Well, to be fair, we've been reacting for like 2 years now. So.
Without doing an after the reaction.
Exactly. So it's just we're hardwired to just end the shoot and go home.
Yeah, well, welcome to the podcast channel. Welcome to After the Reaction, where we have an extended discussion on the movie that we just reacted to.
Yeah.
We reacted to Akira. Now, like I said, this movie's wild, ambitious, crazy. It's not incoherent, but, like, not at all, really. It's very focused, but as you could see, like, throughout the reaction, I was kind of lost at a lot of points because there's so much being thrown at you. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And so this is clearly a movie that I need to see more than once, but that's kind of what's exciting to me about it is that, like, it's so visually striking and there's so much world building happening that I'm excited to rewatch it and revisit the world. You know what I mean? And I think that, like, the best movies are when you get, like, so much more out of a second and third watch.
That's the thing. It's like the fact that you're willing to watch it a second time means the movie worked, you know? Like, there are a lot of movies that benefit from a second watch, but it's a matter of if you're even down to do it, you know?
I mean, like, you think about, like, stuff like 2001 or The Shining and stuff like that, where you're basically watching 10% of the movie the first time you watch it.
That's true. Yeah, very true.
That's kind of what I felt about Akira. Now, I might, my mind might not be able to just grasp onto things that other people probably grasped onto their first watch, but that's kind of what my experience was like.
Yeah. There was definitely a lot that this movie tackled. I mean, I think obviously the big elephant in the room is kind of just the sci-fi themes of technology advancing to the point of humanity's destruction, and I think it's, I don't know if the word is interesting, but it's important, I guess, that Japan has a take on that, you know?
Oh, yeah, of course.
You know, naturally that's just going to be the thing, you know? I mean, even like Godzilla deals with those same types of themes, you know?
I mean, very bold and, like, overt of what it's trying to do with opening with a bomb, an atomic bomb blast, and flashing white, and that's where you see the director's credit pop up. It's, like, making a statement, like, within the first 3 seconds of the movie.
Yeah. But, overall it was really interesting. I mean, like, virtually every scene had a shot where I was like, oh my God, that's really cool.
It's like it's stuff, and I know it's based off, like, comic, a comic and everything. Mm-hmm. So it's like every shot looks like a strip. Every shot feels like a painting. You know?
Oh, is this actually based off of another source material? I didn't know that. I thought this was totally an original.
It is.
Movie.
All. That I did know that.
Okay, like, so like a manga series, I assume?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And so you could tell by that there was probably some shots in there that are ripped straight from that work.
Yeah.
But in a cool way, and like you could pause it at each frame and be like, well, I want to frame that on my wall because it looks so good, you know?
Yeah, well, and just as much of the visuals, the sound was, like, just as impactful.
The sound design is, like, brilliant.
Yeah, or lack thereof in times, you know, because I think, like, you know...
Well, it's also, like, sorry to interrupt, but real quick, but even, like, even lack thereof, I feel like, is interesting, because I always find that, like, sure, you can just cut out sound, but it wouldn't be nearly as impactful. Like, when this movie cut out sound, you still hear slight whirring. You still hear...
Yeah, there were choices there.
You feel that it's being drowned by something. So it's not just like... And I think I kind of learned this when Quiet Place came out, and they were talking about, like, what goes into sound design when it's real quiet versus movie quiet.
Yeah. What, like, atmospheric and, like, ambiance sounds are actually going to be there.
Yeah, totally. And so, like, you can tell even in these silent moments, there's so much work being put into making the audience feel something.
Yeah, I mean, the thing that I loved about it, and I pointed it out several times throughout the reaction, was I feel like movies nowadays are so focused on overstimulating you. Mm-hmm. You know? Is there something in my hair you're looking up?
I just saw that you were sweating, and there was like one drip.
It's a little warm in here, guys.
There was one drip coming to your eyebrows.
Come on, little guy, you can do it.
Literally, I was rooting for it. You know that scene in Total Recall where you find out the guy's lying by the drop of sweat? That's what I was like. I was like, oh no.
Slowly melting over the course of this discussion. I think it's because this movie was a little longer. I think it's just the heat just kind of built up. Because we shut the AC off to do these, so the background noises.
And we're both wearing warm clothes.
Yeah, it's just going to happen. But anyway, with that being said, a lot of movies nowadays focus a lot on overstimulating you.
Yes.
Like I think of especially like a lot of Netflix movies nowadays. You know, they're like that have like so many fast-paced cuts and sound effects and soundtracks.
They're trying to grab your attention so you don't click away.
Exactly, which a lot of just content nowadays is built around that, including ours. But but I think it's cool to see a movie that can actually shut the fuck up and let you process something.
That's a great way to put it. Yeah.
You know, that it gives you just a strong visual and it feels eerie. It feels intentional. And has an actual impact when like you'll see these insane bright light visuals and stuff, but there's no noise and just like you said, a whir or a drone.
It's so unexpected too. Like the music is very unexpected. At certain action scenes, they'll play this angelic music that you're like, this feels so like not together. It doesn't feel like it's matching.
Yeah, it's almost like otherworldly. It almost feels like something else is watching them.
100%. And like, you know, there's obviously some moments that are big, like movie moments that are supposed to look cool. You guys heard me like freak the hell out when he like jumped out of the bike, kept running, and then jumped onto the other guy, kicked him, and everything. But aside from that, this movie's in its own way. It's grounded. Might be a weird thing to say, but in its world, it's very grounded. Its themes are very grounded. In a sense, like I was very surprised by the tone of this movie. I think like I didn't expect it to be as dark as it is. I didn't expect it to be as violent as it is, and so that was a part of like this movie kind of shaking me off a little bit. So that's why I was like, oh, whoa, I didn't know I was going for this kind of experience.
Yeah, you thought you were on one roller coaster, then you're on another.
And suddenly I'm like, all right, so we're going backwards, forwards, I don't know what's happening. And so that's why I stress, I'm like, I loved it, but I'm so down to like watch it again.
I was going to take the roller coaster metaphor, like wait for the... Yeah, then there was a loop and a corkscrew you weren't ready for and didn't even see when you were waiting in line. Corkscrew on roller coasters is like... It does this. I don't know if listeners can't see me, whatever. Sorry, I can't describe it. But instead of doing like a proper normal loop, it's like kind of a diagonal loop like that. Like
yeah. Those are fun.
Yeah. They're called corkscrews.
Interesting.
Yeah, not like a twist. That's different. You know, I don't know what those are called in roller coasters. I don't know why I had to put both hands to really demonstrate it.
They're probably called a twist, right?
Maybe so. I don't know. Roller coasters has like its own whole sub community and has its own slang and whole brands. I've gone down those rabbit holes online. I watch that stuff sometimes.
You're part of the roller coaster community?
I'm not part of it, but I observe it, you know?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I've caught you like on YouTube just watching roller coasters.
I do that. That's like a weird comfort food.
I
watch POV roller coaster. Because I don't go on a lot of roller coasters and I have an intense fear of heights.
Oh, so this like, is your way of doing it?
Yeah, I mean, like, I'm more down to do them, you know, than I was before. But anyway.
Do you sit on a massage chair while you're watching them so it feels like...
Oh, that sounds great. Yeah, with a little cocktail in my hand.
I hate that you actually like that.
Ooh, I want to get a massage watch. Some like crazy roller coaster that shoots you way up and drops you.
It is upsetting that you find that like very comforting. You're like, ooh, that sounds fucking great.
That sounds nice.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, you're about to watch Ridley Scott's filmography.
Oh, yeah. No, that's a good thing to bring up. Let's talk about that. No, because Napoleon, by the time we're shooting this, it would come out. But Napoleon's coming out next Sunday. And so now we're really dating when we shot this.
Yeah.
But I was thinking, well, no, not next Sunday. It's coming out Thanksgiving.
Oh, okay.
But we love Ridley Scott, right? But like, he has such a big filmography, and there's so many big things that I haven't seen, and so I kind of want to just like go through them as like my personal film project.
Yeah.
But there's also gonna be very bad ones. Like I was talking to you, I was like, dude, I'm gonna have to watch Exodus: Gods and Kings. I avoided that movie.
I know, and I was like, you don't have to. You could just not watch it. But I understand what you're achieving. I understand what you're doing.
I did the same thing with like when Killers of the Flower Moon was coming out before you and I went to go see it.
Yeah.
I saw all the Scorsese movies I had never seen. So I was seeing like Bring Out the Dead, that Nick Cage paramedic movie.
Yeah.
And stuff like New York, his musical that he did with De Niro back in the day.
I forget about those, yeah.
100%. So there's like these big filmmakers that have these spots and blank spots, and it's kind of fun as like to take at least for me, to have like a personal little hobby.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you should do that. But yeah, there's a lot of movies that I didn't want to point it out every single time during it, but I'm like, oh my god, this movie took from Akira. Oh my god, this movie took from Akira. You know, throughout, like you said, the plot structure, Stranger Things, 110%.
So much. Like
Yeah.
I was shocked. Like especially when it cut to that flashback of all the kids playing around.
Yeah.
You haven't seen the future seasons of Stranger Things, but like I'll just say it. The future seasons of Stranger Things have like a lot of other kids that are involved, and you get to meet all of them being tested by Matthew Modine's character, who you saw in season 1, because you've only seen season 1. Papa, exactly. We all love Papa. The most uncomfortable part of that show is, to this day, she's still like, Papa. And I'm like, all right, stop it.
calling him Papa.
I get it, but stop. Anyways, all that stuff, I'm like, wow. It all came from that. It's crazy. I knew Duffer Brothers obviously took a lot from 80s movies, right? That's the obvious one, but I just didn't expect it to come from Akira as well.
Yeah, definitely. And obviously the iconic motorcycle shot. I mean, there's whole ass videos that just compile all the different motorcycle shots.
Well, here's the thing. I was surprised by how early it was.
Sure, yeah. It was essentially in the first, 5-10 minutes or something.
And I was surprised by how, much of a, and I mean this in the best way, non-moment it was. Mm-hmm. It was like, it happened and we're, it was in the middle of the scene, it happened and we're out. I always, in my mind, I was like, it's probably going to be this big action set piece. There's, virtually no action set piece except until, the very end when the big blob monster comes out.
There's a good handful of action scenes. I mean,
there is. Yeah. What am I saying? They're actually really...
buildings and stuff get destroyed every 5 minutes in this movie.
There's no, big, cool fight scene, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It's more emotional, and it's more But
there's a lot of, to be fair, there's a lot of escape scenes and stuff like that. There's a lot of running and getting shot at and hijacking vehicles.
The one that it definitely does come to mind is when the
big rescue mission.
Yeah, the big rescue mission, so for sure.
Yeah.
My point being, though, is that I thought it was going to be somewhere in there, but it just happens very quickly, you know?
Yeah, I think I wonder if doing the Akira shot is kind of like the Wilhelm scream of cinema or something like that, where it's kind of like a little thing that they do.
Except it's hard to do.
Well, yeah,
it's not an easy sound design thing.
No, so, yeah, I just meant that type of shot, you know.
Oh, for sure, it's common, but I'm just saying to do it is not as easy as to do the Wilhelm
that's
thing.
True.
You know
that's true.
I mean?
Yeah, it's not as easy to achieve.
You gotta have some skill.
Yeah.
It is cool in Nope, the Keke Palmer thing. It was,
got to do it. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember when we went to go see Nope, there were some cheers, or there was some there was a person next to me when that slide happened was you could tell that person knew where it was from, but you and I didn't catch that.
Yeah,
It's funny that I say that it was very grounded and all this stuff, because there's also this huge blob monster.
Yeah, I know what you mean by grounded, but yeah, eventually probably the last third of the movie is when it gets complete, almost changes into a different movie.
That was probably that was genuinely scary for me.
That was really disturbing.
Because I think right when he starts changing into that thing, he starts he's asking for help.
Yeah.
Immediately he's please, help. And then he starts crushing his girl. Yeah. And he's I have no control over my body. And you can't even make it out what's happening. You can't, you don't even know what you're seeing. Yeah. Because for a second you'll see a face and then it'll go away into this blob.
Yeah, and then when it cuts to far away shots, it's just I said it earlier, but I was it looks like a giant just blob of bubble gum. Just elongated and stretched and absorbing everything.
And then suddenly teeth come out, grab onto an arm, or it has hands on hands on hands.
Well, that's what's so interesting is I feel it tackles so many personal stories. Obviously, the story of someone who's been disrespected and is now given power and is abusing it, right? And 100%. On a crazy scale is destroying everything. You haven't seen the movie Chronicle, have you? I can't remember.
No. That's the Michael B. Jordan one.
Yeah. Chronicle definitely took a lot from that, because Chronicle is about telekinetic teenagers, and one of them was a bullied teen who goes around destroying everything.
Is that that's the one that's played? The bullied teen is the Dane DeHaan character, right? Yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah. I remember you telling me about.
Pretty cool movie. I enjoyed it.
It's found footage.
Chronicle. Yeah. It's
for people who don't know.
Yeah, and it sometimes it cheats the found footage style, where it'll. When they're doing the grand scale action scenes, it suddenly cuts to all these people using cell phones, and he uses his powers to pick up all their phones. It's an excuse to get aerial shots. Really.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Or it's okay, you're not taking full advantage of found footage. You're kind of dodging it a little bit.
Cheating a little bit.
But with that being said, though, but there's a very personal story, right, of Tetsuo, right? That's his name?
Mm-hmm.
I forgot. Of, like I said, being a disrespected, bullied person who's going after revenge and has power that he doesn't understand.
Yeah.
But then there's also the bigger themes of, again, the advancement of technology and the way it, there's a cycle of violence, the idea of, destroying the universe creates another one, and now there's hope, kind of thing.
Yeah,
You know, it's almost it had kind of a hopeful ending.
Totally, that these kids are riding off, and hopefully there will be a world for us in the future.
Yeah.
Which is what like they're saying is like the world, it's too big right now, but hopefully there will be a place for us or whatever.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was you know, with the way the movie was going, especially in the last 20 minutes, I didn't expect it to have like even a slightly hopeful ending.
Yeah, well, and I know. The way the movie goes, it's funny because the way it starts, like you said, it made me feel like, oh, okay, this is going to be kind of an action biker gang, you know, personal revenge story or something like that. But then all of a sudden, just one thing slowly led to another. Oh, there's all these, you know, little irradiated children, you know, with crazy telekinetic powers. Then the friend gets captured. I'm sure both of us thought nothing of the character of Tetsuo when we first saw him, right? Not nothing, but he was like going to be a side character. But then
No, but like you're right. I didn't think anything of him. I literally thought like, oh, that's just one of the side characters.
Yeah.
Because what's brilliant is that like you get one moment where like he's trying to like start up his bike again because it slows down, and it's like a comedic beat.
Yeah.
But other than that, you're just like, oh, he's one of the dumb friends.
Yeah, you kind of look at him the same way the main character looks at him in the beginning.
It's very impressive.
Yeah, it's well done.
Also, I was surprised how little Canada had to do with the main story.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, I thought, like, he wasn't... What happened
There's
there?
a floating tiny little spider above you. See this little dude?
Oh, Jesus. Oh, fuck.
Oh, sorry. I'm not trying... Okay, you got it?
Yeah, I got it. I was like, stop moving it around.
I was just trying to catch it and just set it down somewhere.
No.
It was like a teeny little dude.
You were, like, trying to guide it. You're like, hey.
I know. Anyway, though. Tetsuo, we thought nothing of.
Oh, yeah. Tatsuo, we thought nothing of. Canada, I was surprised how little he had to do with the story. I mean, especially he's on the poster and he had the cool bike.
Yeah.
So it was kind of... That was an interesting subversion, I felt like. And I don't know if that was intentional or maybe I'm reading it wrong. But, like, the guy with the cool bike, it's not his story.
Yeah.
It's the guy who was rejected. It's the guy who everyone looked at as weak.
It's the guy without the cool bike story.
That's his story. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? But, like, the poster puts him in it because he's the iconography of the movie, right?
Totally.
So it's interesting how little it actually had to do with the bike. And how little it actually had to do with him, you know?
Yeah. It's really
like, you're
about,
trying to save it. It's about that guy, you know?
Yeah, it's really a story about humanity, essentially.
So, which I think is a great subversion. It's like, if anything I picked up on the first watch, it's that. Like,
Yeah.
That's really impressive.
Yeah, I mean, maybe, who knows, down the line we can do a podcast on it, better prepared, and can analyze stuff and have more conversations about it.
Yeah, 100%. I think it would be super fun to do, like our main Nice Dude movie podcast on it, just because, like, there's so much to break down in this movie.
Yeah.
And I'm sure after, like, a rewatch, we'll probably be able to connect with it well.
Yeah, we can absorb it a lot more and think about it. And I'm sure there's a shitload of video essays and all these different analysis and critiques that we can find, you know?
Totally. I love the, you know, I just want to comment on the range of both our reactions and this. Like, by the time this video comes out, we'd have done Midsummer, History of the World Part 1, and Akira.
Yeah.
And our podcast channel has, like, Carrie, Hereditary, Clerks.
Yeah, Carrie, Hereditary, Clerks, Little Miss Sunshine, Goodfellas.
Whiplash. So
Yeah.
I'm always proud of, like, all the different kinds of movies we do.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
And our audience enjoys them as well.
Yeah, totally. So, are you good to wrap up?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So thank you so much for watching. Thank you guys so much for listening. If you're on Spotify or iTunes or wherever you find your podcast. And check out our Nice Dude Movie podcast if you haven't seen that yet. We have a lot of fun over there. Stay nice, dudes.